Good morning and welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Tuesday, June 30th. Okay, let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps. We're actually trading higher. We're up 0.09%, about a tenth of 1%. We were up, 0.2 of 1%, but those gains have pulled back a little bit. Expectations are pretty much for a quiet trading session again today. There is supposed to be a meeting in Doha between the U.S. and Iranian officials. Not sure if that's going to happen or not. The inflation data out of Europe came in softer than expected. That's a positive. Shares of data center and AI infrastructure suppliers continue to show some very positive sentiment. You got to like that. What else do we see on the policy front? The U.S. Supreme Court rejected President Trump's attempt to remove Fed Reserve Governor Lisa Cook from her role. On the economic calendar day, we get the June consumer confidence data, and we get the JOLTS data for May coming out. On the corporate calendar, Calamine Foods reached an agreement with the U.S. Department of Justice over the concerns related to egg production that was taking effect earlier in 2025. Ford Motor Company is recalling more than 700,000 U.S. vehicles due to parking system issues. On the corporate calendar today, we've got shareholders meetings going on from Brinks, MDB, Cloudflare. On the earnings front, Nike and Constellation Brands, STZ, they're scheduled to report earnings after the bell. Taking a look over Europe, we got the DAX up 1.48% this morning, or 363 points. And positive economic data came out of Germany this morning. The FTSE's up 120 points, or 1.15%. Got gains in mining stocks offsetting some weakness in the energy sector. And, in Paris, the CAC is up 0.63%. The inflation slowed to 1.8% in June, which was down from 2.4% in May. That's very positive. And then we're taking a look over at Asia last night. And, the Nikkei was higher by 594 points at 0.86%. But the yen, the yen's weakening again. It fell below 163 as the dollar continues to climb. The thing is, the Bank of Japan is likely not going to have as many interest rate hikes this year as the Fed, so that's kind of providing support for Japanese equities. You look at the Hang Seng in Hong Kong; it was lower by 0.63%, and it was down. It's been down 9.1% for the month of June, showing the ongoing concerns of Chinese economics. But in China, that market was up by 0.5%. As the PMI data came in rather strong. Manufacturing data came in at 50.3. Beat forecasts of 50.1. Non-manufacturing edged up to 50.2, which was higher than the expectations of 49.9. So that's positive. Then we're looking at oil, and oil has since turned higher. It was lower earlier this morning. Now we got WTI up 0.23% to 73.32. We got Brent up 0.29 to 73.32, whereas in WTI is at 71.16, up 0.58%. Resumption of the talks in Doha, raising expectations. We get traffic flowing through the Strait of Hormuz again, which is positive. But after the bell today, you got that API data, and tomorrow you get the EIA data, so we've got to keep an eye out for those stockpile figures. Okay, now we're going to move on, and we're going to move into our earnings. And we're going to talk about the CNXC. The stock's lower by, almost 24% this morning. They missed by a penny. They did it on lower revenue. The guidance was weak. The stock's just getting hit. In terms of upcoming earnings, you got we got Constellation Brands, STZ, their EPS is $3.28. Expected move is 5.73% when they release. Then there's Nike, NKE. EPS is 11 cents. Expected move is 8.94% when they release today after the bell. Now we're talking about the economic reports for today. 9 a.m. Case-Shiller Home Price Index, 9:45. Chicago PMI, 10 a.m. Consumer Confidence, 10 a.m. The May JOLTS report. And then for Fed Speak at 10:40 a.m., we're going to hear from Cleveland Fed Bank President Beth Hammack. That's all interesting. In terms of the FANG stocks, Apple and Google should let developers use alternative payment systems according to UK antitrust regulators. Amazon's being sued by an Italian watchdog group over streaming contracts. Netflix is developing a live action series based on Persona. In terms of Dow Jones 30 stocks, JP Morgan is going to be using its own funds to invest in vital industries. Amazon, Anthropic introduces Claude Apps Gateway for Amazon's Bedrock and Google Cloud, so kind of interesting. In terms of guidance news, CNXC, Concentrix, they cut their full year 2026 EPS view to $10.83 from $11.18. The street estimate was $11.71. Ooh, that's a massive downtick. Shareholders meetings, Brinks, BCO, MDB, and Cloudflare, ticker NET, are all having shareholders meetings today. In terms of buyback news, Bank of the Ozarks, ticker OZK, they announced a $200 million stock repurchasing program yesterday after the close. Catalyst calls, Deutsche Bank is out there. They called Otis Worldwide, OTIS, a short-term sell idea. But Parker Hannifin, PH, they called a short-term buy idea. Okay, let's move in and let's talk about our pick of the day. And, it's going to be a slow day, but there might be some opportunity in Nike. Our earnings are out after the bell. Call volume yesterday was 82,000 versus put volume of 43,000. That's positive. And the open interest, 982K versus 732K, that's positive. Major brokers are cutting price targets, but they haven't changed their ratings. They're just neutral on the stock. They're neutral. Now, there's a new CFO, and he's expected to cut guidance. That news is already out there. But, I got to tell you, if I can get in at 41.25, I think I should be able to at least make 1% today. So I'm kind of holding back on Nike. With the low entry price, but 41.25 could be an opportunity. But that's my pick of the day, ticker NKE, Nike. Okay, let's see what stocks we got moving this morning in our hot off the press segment. Innovent Biologics and Eli Lilly enter into a Versant distribution promotion agreement. VRDN has a PDUFA date of today for its BLA. U.S. retailers have brought forward orders from China by 4 to 6 weeks to secure inventories for Black Friday and Christmas sales. U.S. House Committees opens an investigation to Merck and Aviva's China drug trials. Let's see. Comcast may do a get into video games after it breaks up. That's all I'm seeing this morning. All right, let's move on to our pick of the day from yesterday, which was Palantir Technologies, PLTR, and the stock opened up at 116.23. I was thinking 116.50, and then it ran and it had a high of 119.08. So there's your 1%. It hit during the morning yesterday. It fell apart a little bit later in the session, but it definitely hit the 1% yesterday. So PLTR was a winner. I got to be happy with that. All right, traders, that concludes today's podcast. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.